This Week in Startups is brought to you by Hello Monday, a new podcast from LinkedIn's editorial team. Host Jesse Hempel sits down with featured guests to investigate the role work plays in our lives and how to make it work for us. Find Hello Monday on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Pendo, a product cloud that helps digital product teams understand and guide their users, enabling them to build software experiences customers love. Visit pendo.io/twist for 2 months of Pendo free. And Salesforce Essentials. Jumpstart sales and support by leveraging the world's #1 CRM at a startup price point at just $25 a month per user. Go to salesforce.com/twist for an additional 50% off and a free onboarding call.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. This is the show where we talk to founders, CEOs, investors, pundits about the technology industry and startups and entrepreneurship. We do it twice a week and we've been doing it for 10 effing years. Where have you been if this is your first episode? Go to the archives, thisweekinstartups.com, and get your MBA for free by watching over 900 episodes. I'm going to be going on the road in a couple of weeks for Angel.University. Yes, there is a .university subdomain or top-level domain, TLD, like .com. If you go to Angel.University, DC, Boston, Columbus, Miami, New York, we're just going to hit 5 cities, and then Sydney and San Francisco for Angel University. So 7 Angel Universities on the books. I teach a course, myself and Mike Savino. It's a 4-hour course. It's a lot of fun for 50 people, trying to get you to understand, if you're an accredited investor, how to invest in startups. We're going to invest in 100 startups this year. We did 55 last year. As you know, we've done over 200 investments, 7 of which have become unicorns. And it's been a pretty good run, and it's a lot of fun to be an angel investor. One of my oldest friends in the industry started his career when he was 18 years old. He got recruited into a little company, Symantec McAfee. Peter Norton, correct, in Santa Monica.
It was the arch rival to McAfee.
Arch rival to McAfee, Peter
That's
Norton. Right. And his name is Rowan Trollope. And he also then went on to CISCO and had, 5,000 or 10,000 people reporting into him.
Yeah, a few.
And then he's recently gotten recruited into Five9, Five9, which he is the CEO of. You finally, after 25 years of trying,
That's right.
Now we're in the CEO slot.
That's right.
Welcome back to the program, Ryan.
Thanks, Jason.
So what does Five9 do? It's a publicly traded company. I know that.
Yep.
I know you have 40 customers paying over $1 million a year each, $3 billion market cap.
Yep.
What does this company do, and what drove you to join it?
Yeah. So it's a cloud-based contact center. Okay. So for anyone who doesn't know what a contact center is, if you ever call in or send an email or a text message into a company and you get bad service, which most people would say that's usually a painful experience, right? Well, that's usually because they're using legacy, old hardware and software-based systems that are out of date to manage all that traffic. We're a totally new, born in the cloud, web-based thing. So there's no phones, there's no nothing. It's all basically through the cloud, and we power some of the largest contact centers in the world.
And a contact center is synonymous with call center?
It's like a call center.
Customer support,
customer service.
Why did
sales,
we change it to contact center all
because people don't want to call as much. They want to send text messages or emails or contact in any way, shape, or form, essentially.
Got it.
It's both customer service and support on the inbound, as well as, and then it's sales on the outbound. So there's a lot of like outbound sales organizations that use the platform as well.
And why did you take the job? Why? You had a pretty sweet gig at CISCO.
I was having a lot of fun at CISCO, but this was in a space, the contact center was a space that I thought was overlooked. And it's right at the beginning. If you think about, let me back up. If you look at all of the enterprise SaaS companies that have been out there, there's been a wave of, the NetSuites and the, Salesforces of the world that kind of moved most of the back office systems to the cloud. We're actually multiple years behind that in the communications industry because communication is harder. Like doing real-time stuff on the internet was just way harder. So we're sort of right at the front end of moving all these legacy systems from premises-based software and hardware to the cloud. And so where could you find, that's just not happening in every place. It's definitely happening in the contact center. That's number one. Number two, I think we're now in a world where I was spending a lot of time at CISCO listening to C-level people at big companies. And almost every single one of them came in and said, our customer experience sucks. Like our customers don't love us, and there's some new disruptor on our category. Like for GM, it was Tesla, and it wasn't just that Tesla has an awesome car, okay, or for Verifone, the credit card hardware company, it was Square. And the problem is that it's not just that they have a better product; it's that the end-to-end experience is better. You get an email from Jack when you get a Square, and somebody proactively reaches out to you. Well, these legacy companies have terrible end-to-end customer experiences.
They looked at customer support as an afterthought and a cost center and something to make painful so that people didn't call.
Exactly. Most companies do.
What a colossal, idiotic approach to building relationships. I mean, if legacy companies... It's a reason why legacy companies get displaced because of this stupid thinking. It's like when a person buys your product and they're in need and they're frustrated.
And they want to call you. Well, and they want to talk to you.
Let's not talk to our customer. Let's send them, no offense, to India, to another country with somebody with a thick accent, no offense, right? If it was an American accent versus a Japanese one, whatever it is, who is going to frustrate the person by reading them a script.
Exactly.
And you're like, I already did the FAQ. I have the manual. And they're like, okay, step 7 in the manual is this. And you're like, you're reading me the manual. Yeah. I've done this already.
So I experienced this, and you mentioned my first job, 18, right? Working at Peter Norton. So the first job I had was working in support. So I took 8,000 phone calls. Okay, that took me 8 months, 50 calls a day. And after doing that for 8 months, I got super bored of it, and they said, hey, you're a really good rep now. It's kind of 3 things happened after taking 8,000 phone calls. One, I got really good at, I knew all the answers. The customer, your brain's a good pattern matching, right? Somebody calls in and says, I'm having a problem with, and you're like, I bet you it's this. Let me pause you right there, right? And you can, and when you do that and you know all the answers because you've taken all the calls, customers really like that because you're good at your job. And then the next thing that happens, and it's the third thing, is you want to leave because it's boring. You've heard all the calls before. You know all the answers. This is the biggest problem in call centers, that people sit through these, people get trained. They eventually get to a place of competence, and then they're like, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. I want to get the heck out of here.
It's the definition of insanity.
And the funny thing was the company...
It's the best position and the worst position to be in, because you ramp up so quickly being on the front line, which is why some companies, I forgot who it was, might have been Southwest or JetBlue. It was JetBlue. They really thought through moving the call centers to America, having Americans in a specific city be very personable on the phone.
Yep. T-Mobile did this recently.
T-Mobile did it recently as well. They insourced it, I guess is what they would say, instead of outsourcing it. And they... And Tony Hsieh, I guess, was the other really influential person who was like, you can stay on the phone as long as you want. And they had a record phone call of 3 hours. And they would play that phone call for other people. Listen to this 3-hour call and do whatever it takes to delight the customer.
So back, I remember this really well. I was on the 12th floor at 1 Ocean Avenue in Santa Monica was where the building was. And it was crazy. I had a beach view. First job out of 18 as a support rep, with a beach view. I was like, this is heaven. I'm in heaven here. And but we started getting a lot of calls, and it was like they basically told us, you guys are a cost center. When somebody calls us about Norton Utilities or antivirus, we lose money. If you guys pick up the phone, we lose money. So you know what? They actually hired someone to hide the phone number. That person's job was to literally hide the phone number.
Right. Make it impossible to call us.
Yes. Now, one floor above, wasn't the 13th, it was the 14th, was a whole floor of people in sales who were trying to get a hold of customers, and customers were running away from them as fast as they could.
Right.
So you had this, and I remember thinking to myself, this is super weird. It's we're trying to run away from customers. Our sales, the customers are running away from us. This is insane. And of course, now we know there's a way better way to do this, right? Yeah. It's hey, it turns out if you have a subscription business, talking to your customers is a really good idea because they'll pay you more money, they'll get more successful, blah, blah, blah. So
lowers your churn, increases your ARPU, average revenue per
user. Average revenue per user. And it's a huge category. It's a $24 billion spend category.
$24 billion.
$24 billion are spent in contact center software per year. So that's huge, and it's only 10% penetrated. Okay, to the move to the cloud. Really, now, it's just at the front end.
Recording all of these calls and doing AI on top of them.
That's right.
Yeah. See, that seems to me to be the holy grail.
That's what we're doing. That's the intent. We just hired a guy named Jonathan Rosenberg, who's one of the top 5 most published authors for internet protocols, and he has been making his name. And he's an MIT Columbia guy who's been making he actually invented voice on the internet. This guy Jonathan Rosenberg. So he has joined us as our CTO and head of AI. And the idea that we have is, it actually goes back to sort of one of my experiences, which is when I took all those calls and I knew all the answers, they're like, good, now you can be the supervisor. So I was like, okay. So I sat next to this lady named Valerie, and I plugged in my headset on mute, and I listened to her taking a call. And she's really personable,
right?
But she's she's floundering. Like the caller comes up and she's like, "I'm sorry you're having this problem, sir. We're going to get that taken care of for you right away." Meanwhile, she's flipping through her papers. I'm sitting on the side going crazy. I'm like, mute. Valerie, let me tell you what the problem is here.
Yeah.
Okay, just put those papers away. Tell the customer this is the problem. That's what you're going to do.
Right.
She goes, okay. She did it, and it resolved the call. Here was the problem. I couldn't scale that.
No.
I couldn't do that, me sitting with every single agent.
Yeah.
So here's what we figured out. We can do that with software.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's like a sidekick, or, we haven't officially named this yet, but it's something that sits on the side of the agent. It's listening in real time to the conversation using AI. In real time, we're partnered with Google on this. We're translating the voice to text. We're taking the text in real time, applying natural language processing to it. And basically, it's like a real-time recommendation engine for the agents.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Sorry. Watch that bomb here. Take it easy, okay?
I'm so excited.
Wow, I just... No, it does seem to be the holy grail, because if you think about the poor execution of that, it was those decision trees. Thank you for calling Hewlett-Packard.
Yeah.
If you need support with your printer, press 1. And then it's like, do you have the HP 1? Do you have the HP 2?
Yeah.
And you're just like, I have the HP 7. Can you just get to it?
And that's what bots have become, if you've noticed. Yeah. I've been trying to use bots as much as I can just to see
how
You mean
text box going back
text bots
and forth.
on websites.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. They are the new they're the new version of that. They're annoying. And so my first question now that I ask when I hit those bots is, are you human? And if it's not human, I'm not going to sit there dinking around talking to a bot that's going to run me through some script, etc.
All right. When we get back from this break, I want to hear your George Clooney story.
Okay.
Because I know he's involved in this somehow. And
no, he's not, but okay.
Okay.
I'll tell you the story.
Okay. When we get back, more on George Clooney and customer support with Rowan Trollope from Five9. Oh my Lord, if I could go back in time and give baby Jake some advice, what advice would I give myself during those first 2 or 3 jobs? 1, don't fight with the boss. Number 2, start a company. God, so many things I would have told myself earlier on. Well, here's a podcast for you. It's called Hello Monday, and it's filled with amazing advice. And each week, host Jesse Hempel sits down with a featured guest, and it comes from your friends over at LinkedIn's editorial team. Yes, that's right. LinkedIn has their own podcast called Hello Monday, and she's had some killer guests. Emmy award-winning producer Jackie, what's going on here? She's got IDEO CEO Tim Brown. He's never been on my podcast, huh? And Tim Brown from IDEO, the people who make all these incredible products in the design studio, on where ideas come from and how to test them. She also had the author of Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert, on, talking about the distinctions between a hobby, job, career, and vocation. Amazing. And Seth Meyers on the writer's room and keeping talented people motivated. This is good work. It's a great compliment to This Week in Startups. So I want you to go search for Hello Monday on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's okay if you use another app. Search for Hello Monday, download it, listen to This Week in Startups, listen to Hello Monday, listen to This Week in Startups. You can go back and forth, work on that personal improvement, work on your startup, and write them a review, too. That always helps. People love to get reviews, especially on iTunes. It moves you up the charts, I understand. So thanks again to our friends at LinkedIn. What an amazing service. We use it all the time. And congrats to the editorial team over there on their latest and greatest Hello Monday. It is full of awesome advice that you can use. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. All right, thanks to our partner sponsors for making all things possible here at This Week in Startups. With me again. You've been on the podcast once or twice?
Once.
Just once before?
Yeah. I think. Maybe.
So once every 450 episodes. You got to increase that a little bit. Hey. We should do the news roundtable, because I know you have a lot of opinions.
Yeah, let's do that.
Rowan is at Five9. I assume you're 5, the number 9.com.
number9.com.
There you go. Five9. And he's doing
Cloud Contact Center.
A contact center.
Software as a service.
How is this flipped over? Is it 50% phone calls, 50% email and text?
Roughly in terms of the total volume of contacts. Yeah. The calls tend to be longer, obviously. They're for the more complex situations and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But I think increasingly, we've seen that. We did a survey recently, and basically millennials or anyone kind of, their preference is about half the time to use the phone.
Do young people want to call on the phone?
Sometimes. Yeah, this was the survey we did with young people. It's like, it depends on the scenario. So I'll give you an example. This morning I woke up, my TV wasn't working. I am rushing out the door. I don't really give a shit that my TV is not
Yeah.
working. I can't watch whatever I was going to watch, but it's sort of
That's, by
background
the way,
noise.
for those counting, that's $40 in the swear jar.
Oh, sorry.
Bring the swear jar back.
So I text, this isn't your house. So I text.
Exactly. It's referring to a poker game that didn't occur.
I text Comcast, like,
Yeah.
my TV's out, fix it, please.
Yeah.
And if they text me back in 4 hours, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Take the same condition, which is my TV's not working, but now it's the middle of the Super Bowl and I got 10 friends over.
Oh,
Do you
boy.
really think I'm going to be okay texting and
Yes.
being like, get back to me whenever? No way. I want to call and I need someone to calm me down.
Right.
I need someone to say, like, we're really sorry, sir. We know what's going on. We're all over it right now. I'll stay on the phone with you until it's up, like that kind of thing. So you could have the same exact situation, but depending on, sort of the urgency or, how much empathy and connection you need with a human,
Yeah.
you actually do want to call in those cases.
You know what's amazing? I just realized, technology builds. We've been in this space for 3 decades now. Like, all these waves of technology build on each other. And one of the things is text to speech and speech to text has existed since Dragon Dictate and all these
That's
things,
right.
what, like the
That's right.
80s?
Yeah, yeah.
And people would buy Dragon Dictate for $600
Yeah,
and get a
that's
headset
right.
and sit there.
Doctors would use that a lot, right?
Yeah, or theoretically. It was always like more promising.
Right.
And then people just got better at predictive text and whatever on their smartphones. But now I realize, because we wanted to transcribe the archive of This Week in Startups, it used to cost us $1 or $2 a minute to do a transcript. So you'd have to think like, okay,
Yeah.
90-minute podcast, I'm going to spend $200 on this, probably not worth it, whatever, who cares? Now,
Penny a minute.
a penny a minute
Google.
with Google, and it's fairly accurate or scary accurate,
It's human level accuracy now.
which is crazy.
This is the key insight that was one of the exciting things for me.
200 times. Sorry to interrupt. That's 200 times
Yeah.
cheaper or whatever.
And more effective. So Microsoft
99
was the first to publish their deep learning version that exceeded human level accuracy on a given test set, which was 95%.
What happened that made it so accurate?
Deep learning.
Yeah. And explain that to somebody who wouldn't know what that means.
So that's sort of like artificial intelligence. So next generation, what you do is you hand it a whole bunch of utterances, so like words, like the word house, and you can feed the system the word house 1,000,000 times, and it listens to it, and it deep learning essentially learns by listening to the word house 1,000,000 times. It goes, okay, I think I can recognize that word in the future now. And
Right.
then you feed it a bunch of words that aren't house, like car, dog, cat, boat, and
Right.
you tag them so the computer goes, okay, when I heard dog, that wasn't house. When I heard house, that was house.
Right.
Sort of like if you remember in Silicon Valley episode where they had hot dog, no hot dog.
Yeah.
It was a simple concept.
Right. So you're training it what's the not scenario as much as
Exactly.
what is the scenario.
Exactly.
And then it's also now becoming contextual. So if you fed it the corpus of human
Yeah, like
email
chicken
or
breast
speech.
would be different than the other kind of breast.
Yeah. And but you would know after chicken comes chicken parm, chicken breast, chicken thigh, chicken wings. Like
Yeah.
it's now that's, I guess, informing that AI or machine learning, whatever it is, deep learning, is now doing predictive text. So now when
Yeah.
you're typing, I guess Gmail now shows you
Gmail
the
does
next
that.
word,
Yeah.
and you're just like, okay, well, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
soon it's going to be like,
You're just like, okay.
okay, I'm waiting for it to get the next sentence.
Yeah, right.
It was great seeing you last night. Tough beat at poker, and then it guesses the next sentence.
Yeah.
Would you like to come again
Yeah,
next
yeah.
week? We have a seat open for you. But it's going
a
to
good
eventually
one. Yeah.
get to the second
Yeah.
seat. And
That sounds like a text you've sent me before.
exactly.
Jason.
I'm like, Rowan, wow, that was a bad beat last night.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Sorry you lost all your money. Please come back next week. It'll go better next time.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's sort of like the precogs in Minority Report.
Exactly.
What was that? What year was Minority Report? I think it was 2003.
It was longer. It was further ago than
90s?
you think. It was like way, way, way back.
Was it before?
I think it was in the 2000s. I don't really remember.
I think it was after 9/11, but I could be wrong. It might be 99. 2002. That's I
2002.
knew it was after
There you
9/11.
go.
See, my whole world. It's so weird how a PTSD
Yeah.
kind of like impacts the human brain.
You have PTSD.
I had such hardcore PTSD after 9/11. I was there. My brother's a firefighter.
Yeah.
That almost everything in the world,
Before then?
I can judge if it was before or after that one date.
Wow.
So when I just thought a Minority Report, I was just like, yeah, that was after 9/11. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Super weird. Or like, I guess for most
the way
people, it'd be
the brain
after college or
works.
before.
Yeah.
And it sort of dovetails into
interesting.
all of this, like,
Yeah.
which is predicting the future should not be that hard of a task.
Uh-huh.
You could actually know based on, I bet you're going to eventually know at Five9, based on the area code somebody's calling from, the tone of their voice, the time of day they're calling, you're probably going to know maybe even gender or age. Can we do age by voice yet? I know we can do age, obviously, by super accurate by video. I wonder if we can do age by voice.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
But anyway,
it's a good one.
Taking all those signals that you wouldn't even think of using, you're going to be able to predict what the top 3 questions are in order that person is calling about.
Yeah.
And then the menu could be, instead of what's your problem, it could be, if you're having a problem with your toner, a paper jam, or drivers, press 1.
Yeah, we don't even
Anything
do that.
else, press 2.
We're already at the point where we just say, tell us what problem you're having. I always think about I talked about the spend here. It's $25 billion in technology, but the worst problem is there's $250 billion spent in labor in call centers per year globally. Yes. It's 16.9 million people do this job.
In the world or in
the world?
In the world.
In the world. It's like 6 million or so in the US. It's a big job. It's a lot of people doing it.
2% of it's almost 2%. It is 2% of the adult population. It's 1 out of 50 work, because there are 330 million people.
Yeah, and 6 million in the US. So 2%.
70
right.
million or 80 million are
and
under the age of 18.
In most product companies, you'll see between 5 to 15% of the workforce by headcount actually are people that sit in the call center or contact center interacting with customers. It's a shockingly high number. And so, but here's the crazy thing. So think about $250 billion is being spent to deliver an experience that basically no one likes. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty extraordinary.
And so I think that 10, 20, McKinsey says 30% of that work that's being done could be easily automated in the next 3 to 5 years.
30%.
30%. So that's $75 billion
that
could be replaced of labor that could replace with software. And my sense is like, okay, so then the question is, what do those people go do, right? Well, I think, frankly, it's like, I don't think contact centers are going to want to spend less money. So they could put those people onto being more proactive. Like if I'm calling you about a problem, why am I calling you in the first place? Shouldn't you have known this was going to be a problem? Like predict this? So there's a lot of other things. Customer success, a whole new trend, and what you see the guys at Gainsight doing.
What is customer success versus customer support? Okay, everybody's heard of customer support. Yeah. Most people probably haven't heard of customer success. What's the difference? Yeah. Is it a different job function? Yes. Is it a different pay scale?
Yeah, so it's totally new. It came out about with the innovation of software as a service and subscription-based companies who recognize that, hey, when we sell you some software, that's kind of like the starting place. When we sell you the service and you start using it, that's the starting place. And so it kind of came originally out of Salesforce and other companies who sort of pioneered the NetSuite, who pioneered software as a service. And they recognized it's not, you can't just wait for the customer to call in and then sort of help them with their problem. It's way better to be proactive because you can increase their lifetime value. So it's customer success today it's a separate function usually. In SaaS companies and tech companies. And it's about once you sign up a customer, that person is your rep. They call you or they email you and they say, hey, we want to make sure you can get the most out of our software. Did you know about this function, that function? There's a company called Gainsight, Nick Mehta. Gainsight. Yeah, great company. They are a customer success platform. So yeah, we use Gainsight. A lot of companies use Gainsight, and that is like the basic platform for tracking things like when is this customer, like is this customer a churn risk? Should we be like more proactively reaching out to them?
Explain what churn risk is to people who don't know.
Like a customer who is going to leave your service.
Got it.
Because they're unhappy or they're going to quit or maybe the price.
So if you were Equinox charging people $200, I hate that company.
You've got
Equinox.
some churn risk on your hands.
No, I just hate them because they were just like always like unsubscribe. This is my definition. Let me see what you think of this. This is like Jason's rule.
Yeah.
Jason's product rule. I'm trying to get it to define it. I tweeted it. Jackie, Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie, pull this up from my Twitter. It was one of my greatest tweets of all time in terms of retweets and hearts, and that's saying something. You can tell the quality of a product
I saw this
by how easy it is to unsubscribe or return it.
Right. The 3.5-inch index card in the mail to the address, that whole nonsense that used to be the case. Remember that?
What is that?
You know, like if you want to get a refund, send a postcard of this size to this address. It's like the modern version of that.
The Wall Street Journal. This is a message to @Rupert Murdoch. I know that you're a genius and you're brilliant, but to the publisher and customer support people at the Wall Street Journal, you are the most frustrating, unethical idiots in the world. Please clip this and send it to @Wall Street Journal to take my money over the web and then force me to call you on the phone to cancel. And then you know what they said to me when I challenged them on this?
What's that?
They said, well, the reason we don't do that is security, Jason. And I said to the woman, I said, listen, I know that you're a frontline person and I know that I'm being a jerk.
Yeah, you can't be.
But if I may, please let your manager know that to take my credit card is a much higher risk than to stop charging
to delete it. Yeah.
To delete it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even much better said. Where were you? You should have put in your headset on mute and I should have let you handle this goddamn call.
You should have had an AI version of me doing that.
But it's just like, it is amazing to me how stupid legacy people. Then Stratechery, Ben Thompson's awesome newsletters, $10 a month. He sends you your bill every month and it's not hidden.
That's right.
And then this is a message to Tim Cook. And
I thought it was Stratechery. I call it Stratechery.
Stratechery.
It's a great read.
It's the worst name of any
it's
newsletter.
Not a good name.
And it's the best newsletter you can spend
amazing
$10
content.
on. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Kids smart.
Maybe Apple News. Well, if you get your WSJ subscription through Apple News now, that will go away.
That's what I'm literally going to do is I'm going to cancel, or I should say, I'm going to have my assistant call and cancel. And I am going to sign up that way to just not deal with this BS.
And Apple's pretty good about that stuff. I've canceled all kinds of subscriptions. My kids bought like a bunch of stuff on iOS for something.
Did you email the support at email?
I called and they said, "Oh, we're really sorry," and they reversed all the charges. Easy.
2 great examples. One, Apple is now emailing you what you have subscriptions to with a link to unsubscribe, nice. Which is super nice. Awesome. That's the way it should work. So every month I see it and I can cancel. Second, Audible. Oh, Audible. How do I love audible.com/twist. They haven't sponsored in 2 years, but I still love them.
They're awesome.
Oh, Audible. I'm starting to sound like Trump.
I don't like the credits things. I don't understand the credits.
Oh, the credits are the way to go.
Yeah, but I love buying Audible books.
You can return any Audible book at any time for any reason. So right now, go through your list.
And return.
Pick the 3 that you didn't finish and say, I didn't enjoy it. And they'll give you 3 credits. It's awesome.
Wow.
Because I'm super permissive.
Okay.
When it comes to
Say
Audible.
More.
I buy the Platinum, which is like $20 or something, maybe twice a year. I spend maybe $500.
Where do the credits come from? That's what I don't understand. They keep showing up, and I don't know where. Is it because I buy books?
You're on subscription. You're probably on the monthly subscription where you get 1 a month. But I think if you pay for 20, then what happens is there are some books that are $39, and there are some that are $6.
Mm-hmm.
And when I ran out of credit one time, I was like, wait a second, $49 for $39 for this audiobook? What happened? There's a credit. A credit's $12. You just charged me triple. And I figured it out. Oh, they smooth that out, the publisher pricing, when you buy the Platinum. Everybody get the Platinum. All right, when we get back from this break, I want to know what it's like to, we didn't get to the George Clooney story. We're going to get to that. But what is it like to go from being like the director, EVP, top level lieutenant versus being the CEO of, finally, you're the CEO of a public traded company.
Good question.
And I know that you were in line. Mm-hmm. You didn't say this, but people said, because I knew people who sold their companies to Cisco, that you were in line at Cisco. There's a line. You were somewhere in line. And when we get back, you'll tell us if it's true or not true on This Week in Startups.
Thank you, Jason.
Do you build or manage a SaaS product? Well, I have something for you. It's called Pendo, P-E-N-D-O. And if you install it in your app, it's going to give you a rich set of application level data. That means you put in a little code and then you find out what your users are doing. And maybe there's something very frustrating for them in your app that you can fix. Or maybe there's something that's delighting them, or a feature that you've been arguing in your staff meetings about what people are doing with the app, and you find out they're not using feature A, but they're using feature B twice as much as you thought. This is the kind of actionable insight that companies like OpenTable, Zendesk, Glassdoor, Instacart, Marketo, and 2 of my investments, 15Five and Lead Genius, these are the companies using Pendo to quickly understand user behavior in their apps so they can make better products. And that's what you want to do. If you get rid of some features nobody's using, you can take all of that maintenance time and developer time and simplify your code base and product and then put it into the features that are being used. Well, Sprinkler, which I'm a shareholder in, they're using it to do onboarding of new users and to convert their free trials to paid trials. You get all these like very nuanced user flows. Well, they're doing that to guide the legacy customers into adopting the new digital platforms and reducing support tickets while improving NPS, Net Promoter Score, critical for any great startup. And the best part is no engineering resources are needed. So here is your call to action, pendo.io, pendo.io/twist. Again, pendo.io/twist, and you will get not one, but two free months of Pendo. That's right. Also, Pendo's Product Craft community is producing a great event for product teams, and that event is taking place at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco on May 9th. You can learn more and snag a discount code at pendo.io/twist. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. One of my favorite people, founders, tech thinkers, Rowan Trollope is with us. You can follow him on the Twitter, ROWAN, Trollope, TROLLOPE. He is now the CEO of Five9, FIVE9.com. He left Cisco back in May, and when we left our hero, aside from this George Clooney note I have here from probably your PR team or something, dropping big names here, how close were you? Because somebody told me that you were like top 5 in line to get to the CEO slot at Cisco. Is that true?
No. It was Chuck. So Chuck, who's the CEO now, replaced John Chambers, as everyone knows.
The legend.
Amazing,
John Chambers still comes to work, though, right?
What's that?
He still comes to work once in a while, John Chambers?
No, he's not on the board anymore.
He's not even on the board?
No, now he's running his own venture fund, JC2. JC2 Ventures. He is in the startup world. He is helping. Yes, seriously. He's doing a talk. Yeah.
Oh, I want to get him on the pod. Can you get through me and get him on the pod?
I'll ask him.
Ask him if he wants to come on the pod.
Yeah, I bet you'd love to do that.
Talk about his portfolio companies. And he's
got some great companies, actually.
And also what an epic career. I mean,
totally.
He's press shy. He always
he's not press shy. No.
Oh, you know what it is? He's not Silicon Valley kind of.
He was back in the day.
He was?
But it was more, this was like in the 90s. He was like the Zuckerberg of the 90s. Like he was the biggest name in Silicon Valley. And, but amazing. Like he built that company to $50 billion. He lives down south in the peninsula.
Oh, he does? Mm-hmm. Oh, he's on no excuses.
He goes to the Warriors games.
So where were you? You top 5, heard. What do you think?
When he was replaced, it was pretty clear it was going to be, there was 3 candidates essentially. Mm-hmm. I didn't join Cisco to go be the CEO. And so when Chuck became the CEO, I reported to him for the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. And, that was like it was, sort of my job was trying to help lead that transformation effort towards software as a service in cloud. Yeah. So we acquired App Dynamics, we acquired Jasper Wireless, we acquired some software assets. And I think since then, I'm still a big shareholder in Cisco. Yeah. I think they've done a phenomenal job. Yeah. The network is really clicking again. And at the end of the day, they are the world leader in networking, and the internet is powered on Cisco gear. That's not going to change anytime soon. So it's. Yeah.
What do you think of this Huawei issue? Would you, as an American, be comfortable with those routers being on American soil? Yes or no?
On American soil, doing what? Like in critical infrastructure, or in
infrastructure?
This Week in Startups?
Yeah, I don't know. To your house, to your office, having a Huawei router, having your data on it, your company's data. That's a long pause. I'll take it as a no.
I don't know. It's a good question.
That's a strong no. For people at home who play poker, if I say, do you have a set?
I would buy Cisco.
Here we go. If I say, do you have a set, Rowan?
I would buy Cisco routers and
there's
switches.
That big long pause.
That's buy American, my friend.
It's pretty scary when you think about it. And do you think that 5G, the new fast speed, we've heard talk about maybe the government sets up that infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Would you be in favor of the government? I mean, obviously, we don't want China owning that infrastructure, nor do they want us to own their infrastructure, by the way. It's not a xenophobic issue. It's a national security issue. Mm-hmm. Are you in favor of the government doing, infrastructure project where they own the network?
No way.
Why?
Just because I'm a free market person, and I don't think that would lead to. I already have problems with Comcast keeping my internet up. Really, I'm going to trust the government to keep the internet up? Exactly. I don't think so. Okay, so who powers our infrastructure today? AT&T, telcos. These big companies, Equinix. No.
You would rather have a competitive landscape.
I'd rather have an open market. Yeah, I think that would be better for everyone.
What's the George Clooney drop in here?
We mentioned we have over 40 customers now paying. So we're an enterprise software company. Yeah. We're 250 plus million of ARR per year. On the way to $1 billion, growing at 30%, 29% last year. So it's growing fast, accelerating growth. And we're moving up into the enterprise. So we've been signing up all these really big accounts. Estee Lauder is one of those. DoorDash is one. We're one of DoorDash's.
Oh, wow.
We power the DoorDash contact center. Those guys, it's interesting. They actually got all of their agents onto our platform. They have thousands of agents, by the way, in 13 days.
Wow.
Like powering a contact center is complex.
Hmm.
There's a lot of work to make that happen. The fact that we can stand them up because it's all internet based
Yeah.
is awesome. The story with George Clooney is really simple. We signed up Estee Lauder as a customer, and they wanted to have a VIP hotline for, you go to those red carpet things and they have the swag bags. Well, Estee Lauder's got all their like super high end products. So George,
gifting suite, they call
while
that.
we were there, the
Not
gifting
that I
suite.
know anything
There you
about
go.
gifting
There you go.
suites.
It's from your LA
Yum,
days.
yum.
While we were there, Clooney's people calling in to get support on the gift bag.
Wow.
That was it. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Hi, I'd like to get some
That's
support.
as
Mr. Clooney would
close
like
to we
know.
get us to celebrity here in Silicon Valley. They call the call center.
The gifting suite. It's just more reasons to hate the 0.01%. It's like, is
we
true.
didn't need more reasons.
It's like you get famous and you make money and they're just like, can we give you free stuff? And I was like, well, I don't need the free stuff now.
Yeah.
People offer me free stuff all the time. I'm like, please don't
sure.
give me anything for free because there's nothing for free in this world. It's going to require me taking a picture with it at some point. No, thank you. I do not want anything free.
Influencer economy, man.
It is it's problematic in one way.
Do you have people reaching out to you to be an influencer, quote unquote?
Yeah, yes. And
have you ever done it? No.
I did do it one time. For poker, I was a Full Tilt Red Pro.
Oh, okay.
So what they did was Full Tilt had myself, Don Cheadle, Kevin Pollak, like people in the LA poker scene who were notable or had a following. This is when Twitter first came out or blogs were big. And it was pretty dope. You would just wear some gear. They would give you a bunch of gear. The gear was nice. And Full Tilt was the number one brand. So it would be like sort of like being sponsored by Apple.
And
they would pay
when you were on
buy-in.
TV or when they would pay your buy-in. Oh, wow.
So I could
play WSOP?
I could play any tournament.
As long as you wore their hat.
As long as I wore their logo.
And you would tweet about it.
On my blazer or whatever.
Did they ask you to do you have to do X number of tweets?
Not for me.
Because they do that now.
Yeah. I think at that time they didn't want to be overbearing about it. They were just like, Don Cheadle, Calacanis, Kevin Pollak, whoever.
It's a good company.
They're at the World Series main event, and it's better they'd be wearing ours than somebody else's. And, they probably had 50 players there for $10K each.
Wow.
When you think about it, it's a big thing. But it was kind of nice for me.
Is that online gambling? Full Tilt? What is that?
Full Tilt was online at the time when it was legal. Now it's coming legal again. But I also had an e-cigarette company that wanted to do it. And I was like, this is the beginning of e-cigarettes. So
do you smoke e-cigarettes?
No.
I didn't think so.
Not
e-cigarettes.
Listen, I'm not anti-vaporizer, if that's what you're asking.
I see. Okay.
But I am anti-e-cigarette.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do think vaporizing
they're trying to pass a law.
Rosemary or other herbs would probably be.
They're trying to pass a law that allows certain kinds of vaporized products in public parks, but not cigarettes. Do you know that?
Yeah, no, I don't.
It doesn't make sense to me, but
doesn't make any sense. The government does stuff. It
people
generally
want to
doesn't.
smoke weed in the park.
Yeah,
if you're not going to allow smoke, you shouldn't allow smoke. In my
this
opinion.
was 10 years ago, and I was like, you know what? I see the people who are smoking these things, and I'm watching them at poker tables, pouring the oil into
oil?
These were this is the old days when they were giant devices, and they would be pouring oil.
Is that
and
because
flavors.
they could smoke them inside?
I guess because you can smoke them inside. So at casinos, you would have somebody and they're just like blowing blueberry in your face. I'm like, God, I'm trying to play. I just want to play cards. I'm just here to play 8 hours of cards. I didn't come here to smell Papa Smurf farting at the table for a fucking, sorry, no offense, for a goddamn hour. And these guys blowing, one's got kiwi, the other one's got vanilla blueberry. I'm like, what am I, Baskin Robbins over here? It's driving me crazy. Finally, they banned them at casinos, but I wouldn't do that one. That to me was like a bridge too far on the sponsorship thing. Hey, when I left, I was going to ask you, how's life changed? I mean, when you were, because what were you, a VP or EVP? What was the title you had?
So I reported to the CEO. I was a senior vice president, but general manager is the key.
GM is over there with it. So what's the difference between, sitting in the throne versus, be on the right hand of the throne, so to speak?
There's no one, it's like one of the biggest differences is, there's no decision you can't make. And, when you're number two at a Cisco or a Microsoft or, any of these big companies, you don't define the culture. I mean, you work for the CEO defines the culture. That is make no mistake. And if you get that wrong, it's like bad things happen. Okay. Because you can't have two people setting culture or three people setting culture. So that's like the hugest difference. In my company now, I said, the culture comes from me and so there's no one that can tell me no, which is nice. I didn't have to check in with anyone in my new job, the last job. Well, there's downsides of being a much smaller company, but there's also a lot of upsides to it. Yeah. So there's this dimension of size.
You got now?
1,000.
1,000. Oh, wow. So you took over the top slot and lost 80% of your
staff. Yeah, it's much nicer. It's less work for me.
You still can't know everybody, but you can know a lot of people.
I can know a lot of people.
Maybe 300 people, 400 people.
Yeah, I have a channel on Slack that I created. All 1,000 people ask me anything 24/7. I'll answer them instantly.
There's literally an Ask Jason on Inside Slack where I just said, listen, just if you got a question, just ask it. F it. That's like the new culture of business, which is like stop looking at the CEO as the God Queen or God King, because they're not. Yeah. You probably know the answer to your own question.
Exactly.
You're probably just scared of being fired, and that's why you're not just making a goddamn decision.
And I encourage people to post up there, and I will answer directly, unpolished. There's no comms people typing my answers. Oh God, there's none of that, right? It's just direct.
Got Facebook in trouble. Like Facebook is so inauthentic that you're like.
You mean in the culture?
The culture
in their company
and communication.
Culture? Oh, okay. I haven't seen it.
It was very insular. Like it's us versus the world.
Yeah.
Which was really good. Like that's a neat culture to. It's a very effective culture if you want to beat everybody. Is to just have that crazy,
same as
competitive.
Uber.
Yeah, Uber I think had a circle the wagons mentality at times. It's fierce, but then it also leads to a blind spot, which is. Anytime criticism comes in, you're just like, well, that's just people who are trying to
take us down.
Yeah. So we should ignore it. And in both companies, if you look at it, ignoring the critics was great for focus.
Yeah.
It was really bad for self-correcting, unforced errors, I guess would be the way I would say it.
Yep.
You know what's interesting? You said something, I think, very profound, which just zipped by. And that's one of the reasons I love doing this podcast is I get 2 times a week to talk to really, really, really smart people who are in the field. You said you can't have more than one culture, and I realized, there is a word for having more than one culture inside a company.
Silos? Or what?
Tribalism.
Tribalism, yeah.
And it's the worst effing thing you could ever have.
That's why acquisitions are so hard. You're buying a culture.
Yeah.
You can't, but I've been through so many of those. You can't change that. You bring it in, it is what it is. And that's why so many acquisitions don't work.
All right. When we get back from this quick commercial break, I want you to go through the best practices because I know you bought a bunch of companies. What works, what doesn't,
sure.
And what is the state of the art in 2019 for buying a company? Is it integration or is it isolation in the case of YouTube? When we get back on This Week in Startups. Customer support is the number one thing that startups need. You need to nail customer support, and Salesforce is the world's number one customer relationship management platform. And with Salesforce Essentials, founders can get up and running instantly with an easy out-of-the-box tool and support at a great price. Yes, sometimes people think Salesforce, isn't that for a big company? Au contraire, mon frère. You can get into Salesforce for 50% off if you're a startup listening to This Week in Startups. That's why Salesforce is here supporting the program, the podcast, because they want you to get into Salesforce Essentials for 50% off by going to salesforce.com/twist. And it's very simple. You can instantly set it up, and you're going to have a full cycle customer support process. That means you can automatically connect all your different support channels into one place, and you just get rid of all that busy work and repetitive customer support, and everything is on one screen. You can track emails, you track clicks, you can do meetings in your inbox, get those meetings from your inbox into Salesforce. It's a perfect way to scale your sales team, and it's a full stack solution. You're going to wind up on Salesforce anyway. Everybody knows that. You might as well start doing it right from the beginning, and Salesforce is engaging the startup community with Salesforce Essentials. I talked to the team over there. They are super committed to even the smallest startup, 2-3 people, 20 people, 30 people. It's time for you to get on Salesforce. Salesforce.com/twist. It is the world's number one CRM, and now at a cost for startups. They understand that startups are on a budget and they want to meet you where you are and grow with you. So I've met with the Salesforce team, and they're really dedicated to the space, and it's really great to have them back on This Week in Startups. Please go to salesforce.com/twist and get that 50% discount right now. That's with an annual contract and a free onboarding training session. Thanks again to our friends at Salesforce for supporting independent media like This Week in Startups and supporting the founder and startup community. Speaking of which, let's get back to this amazing episode. Welcome back to This Week in Startups, where Emmy award-winning producer Jackie and Sir Charles, our producer, put together amazing shows for you twice a week, 100 times a year, and a big announcement. Season 3 of Angel Podcast is coming. Go to angelpodcast.com and subscribe on iTunes, etc. And we've already booked half the guests, and we've got some great partners for the Angel Podcast. And we've got a 10-part series coming up on This Week in Startup called Scaling Your Startup, and it's going to be me and my 4 lieutenants, which we call internally the Fantastic Four, taking all the knowledge we've had after 200 plus investments, 7 of which became unicorns. I'm not sure if I mentioned that 18 times in this episode, but there were, it's like 1 out of every 30 companies. I mean, It's just math, people. We're doing how to scale your startup, and we're going through all 10 of the most critical pieces. It's going to be 30, 40 minutes per episode, and it's really going to be like a course on how to scale your company. So look forward to that in May. My guest today is Rowan Trollope from Five9, Five, the number 9.com.
That means 5 nines of reliability, by the way. That's what that is.
I was going to guess
we're the most reliable. You have
yes,
a contact center, you want it to work.
99.59, yes. 1,000 people working for you. And it's an intelligent cloud contact center. Makes total sense. Let's talk about acquisitions.
Yeah.
What makes for a great acquisition? Because Cisco, were they the most acquisitive of all companies in the Valley?
I think they've done almost 400 acquisitions.
That's incredible.
Yeah, over 20-something
Which one are considered the most successful?
I think Meraki is probably the biggest and most successful one. That they bought it. I think it was $100 million, and it's now doing over $1 billion in revenue. That's I think rough and tough, and that was 4 years ago.
Wow.
In that case, it was like strong channel synergy. So Cisco is a go-to-market machine, and they've got the world blanketed with their channel. And so you bring in a company that has a brand new, awesome router that's powered by the cloud, which is Meraki, and it was like, okay, that was just went right through the Cisco channel.
So all these integrators and value-added resellers and the channel that installs the Cisco equipment now just has another item on the menu.
Exactly.
It's like adding It's like adding like a beer or a new dessert to a menu of a packed restaurant. Yeah. It's just like, this is going to do okay.
High margin, recurring revenue. So that one did really well from a performance perspective. The thing that I always think about when it comes to acquisitions is the culture that you're buying. And the Joni Ive used to have this saying, like he was asked, I don't know if it was a saying, I read it once. He was asked, why doesn't Apple do more acquisitions? And he said, well, it's one thing to build a product, but it's way harder to build a team that builds great products. And when you buy a company, you're buying a team, and you're getting what you get from a cultural perspective. So when I would do acquisitions, big or small, would really be thinking about the cultural aspect. It's great at the company I'm at now. It's completely organic. We haven't done acquisitions, so it's
but you also
one
came
cohesive
in as a hired
culture.
Gun.
Yeah.
So did you have to reset the culture at Five9, or did you have to? It was good.
No, it was already good, and that was the. I got very lucky in that sense, and actually was one of the choosing factors for me. One of the deciding factors for me was, I don't have to fix a broken culture here. This is a great culture already. If you look at Glassdoor or any of the review sites, amazing culture. People love working there. I was hiring executives, bringing them in, and they're at the end of the day after they were done, they were kind of like, I've never seen something like this. This company culture is weird. Like, this is not what I was used to. And so I love that about the place. I would say that's one of the biggest struggles with acquisitions. An example of Symantec back in the day did the largest software acquisition in history, which was Veritas. It was I think it was $10 billion at the time. And they were totally different cultures. It was online a backup and storage company, which was Veritas, and Symantec, which was security. And John Thompson, who was the CEO at the time, who's now the chairman of the board at Microsoft, and they eventually spun it out, by the way, recently, but they never integrated the cultures, and the cultures are so radically different that it just kind of never really worked and clicked. So now they're spun out years later.
It's interesting when you think about it. What are the cultures that are attractive for acquisition? What would you say the characteristics of those are? I mean, obviously, dysfunctional culture is dysfunctional culture, so you don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't want too aggressive of a culture coming into a
Exactly. It's more about getting the match. I mean, you could look at Silicon Valley companies, and like some places are very sharp elbowed. And so if you're a sharp elbowed culture, you're probably going to fit in well there. If you're not, you're going to get pushed around. You're never going to get anything done. So it's about sort of understanding your own company and what you're buying. And will these people actually just like working here?
Oh, it goes the other way too. Yeah, you're right. I'm just thinking about how Twitter just had like a really promising M&A start, and then it turned into a disaster. They bought Vine. They bought Periscope.
That's right.
And they had bought TweetDeck and one or two other really like cool companies. They might have bought Nip, or did they buy the other one, DataSift? I can't remember. But anyway, they bought like all these great companies. And then Twitter had no culture, or a weird, quirky culture. And Vine got shut down. Periscope seems to have been the slowest iteration.
They wounded it. They didn't kill it. It's
almost like they shackled it. They're just like, yeah, you can fly Periscope, but we're just like only to 1,000 feet. It's almost like I think Periscope would be 10x larger now if it wasn't part of Twitter.
Well, what Facebook Live, didn't that really?
Well, I just think also Facebook knows how to do these integrations where they're just like, if we bought you, we're going to send you to a million
it was like
users.
a pixel for pixel copy of Periscope.
Of course. Yeah, no, that's what their specialty is. Like sell to us or die, or we're going to try to kill you. But if you just think about what they did with Instagram and WhatsApp, it was like, let's just take all the friction out of this and get everybody who has friends on Facebook to find their friends easier on Instagram.
Oh, now there's Instagram TV, right? Is that what it is? The live broadcast?
IGTV is, I guess, their competitor to TikTok, but they have a TikTok competitor too. So IGTV might be a YouTube competitor, I think. They wanted to get YouTube stars, but the fatal flaw of Facebook is their greed and that circle the wagon mentality, which is they don't take criticism. They don't reflect inwardly like in the way they should, and they don't share revenue because they're so self-centered. Can you imagine if they took a Google YouTube approach and they're like, we'll give 30% of that, where 45%, YouTube gives 55% of the revenue to creators. Apple gives 70%. So
do they? On their podcast?
No,
on apps. Yeah. What about on podcasts?
They don't have
There's no monetization.
They don't have it yet.
Because you're on there, right?
We're on there for free. I do think YouTube now has a Patreon competitor where you can subscribe.
YouTube is one of the great acquisitions of all time.
For sure, the best.
Cited that
I
one.
would say Android.
LinkedIn, maybe.
LinkedIn's up there, but too soon to tell if it's going to 10x from here. But if you just looked at it on market cap, YouTube was a $1.6 billion. Independently, what do you think YouTube would be worth with? It's got to have $30 billion in revenue, and what do you think it'd be worth?
I don't know. What are they growing? What are they growing? Do you have any idea?
I gotta think.
So 5 to 10x multiple.
It's got to be a $200 billion company.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, 150 to 250 billion on the open market.
That's what a great acquisition. Instagram was cited as a great acquisition.
It would be worth now 200 billion now, so that's a 200x. I would say both of those are 100, 200x.
What's consistent in both of those is they left them alone.
Correct. Until they didn't.
Yeah. And
actually, YouTube is still left alone. Instagram wasn't.
Most acquisitions are not done like that, right? They're done with the idea of, you got to justify it with synergies, cost synergies, revenue synergies. And, if you don't, and it's like there's enough cases where if you don't integrate it, it causes problems. So I don't know what the right answer is, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Yeah. It does seem...
I like building stuff. I don't like buying stuff. So if I could build it, I'll build it.
Yeah, that's Apple's position. And the one thing you miss with that...
Except for they didn't buy Netflix, right? They missed out on that one. Was it you saying they should buy Netflix?
Yeah, of course. I thought Netflix...
Oh, it's stratechery. Ben Thompson was saying that.
I've been saying they should have bought Netflix and Tesla when they were $10 billion companies, because I would just include Netflix. See, I think Apple should have Apple Prime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've been saying that. Yeah.
They can put 5 things together and charge $19.95 a month for a terabyte of iCloud, Netflix,
and
Spotify.
Their latest announcement... It was all a la carte, which is kind of weird. All a la carte
and no pricing. And it's like, okay.
It needs to be all together, right?
It's $10 a month for news, I think. They didn't say what Arcade is. They didn't say what TV Plus is, but News Plus is 10. So if you just go through it, News Plus is 10, Music is 10, iCloud, 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes, 10.
Yeah.
I think it's $6 per phone. So if you have 2 or 3 phones or device, maybe 3 devices at home, that's another 20.
Yeah.
So you're looking at, they probably have $80 a month. They probably have $1,000 a year in subscriptions you could do with them when these other ones come out. If they just charge $500 a year flat rate for all your family, 5 devices, gets everything, it would crush it.
Yeah, look what Amazon's done. I mean, I don't use half of what I get with Prime, but it seems like I use the main thing, which is free shipping.
When should founders start architecting their contact centers?
Oh, okay.
Like you're talking about, because you've got all these $1 million plus clients. What should they be doing when they have 10 total staff?
We have lots that have 10, by the way. So some of our $1 million plus started with 10.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. We grow with companies. So what should they be doing right out of the gate?
Yeah. What do you think? What's the best practice?
They should be. Well, first start out on the cloud. Like, don't go buying software and deploying it and having data centers and nonsense. Yeah, total. So start off on the cloud. So Five9.com, they can do that. We can support 2 agents if you have 2 agents. I would say number one, and this is probably controversial, but like you should always try and talk to your customers. So you should have as many people as it takes to answer those questions. And you can now get really great platforms. I mean, we're one of them. Zendesk is another great platform, big partner of ours. Provide as much self-help as you can. Self-service, people want that. Provide all of the channels. If I want to text you or email you or call you, like you really have to be flexible from that perspective to support whatever channel the customer wants to use. I think thinking about proactivity right up in the very beginning is super important. So like it's fine to do self-help, but that's kind of waiting for the customer to pull. Every time I call or have to contact a company that I do business with, my first question in my mind is like, why am I calling you? You should be calling me. You should be proactively notifying me about this stuff. So, so thinking about that, right, is like, and people love that kind of stuff. We mentioned earlier, like Apple sending out a list of all your subscriptions. It's like, that's proactive. I don't have to like wait until I'm pissed off that they've been billing me for 6 months. Something I forgot about and then call them and then they have to calm me down or whatever. So it's just proactivity is, I think, I'm thinking about it. What's the word I've been using lately? Not proactive, but like, anticipatory. Anticipate what your customers are going to want and then proactively engage with them through whatever their sort of preferred channels are. But signing up early, getting a for subscription companies, any software or SaaS companies that are out there, definitely be looking into customer success. So look at Gainsight is another one. I think between Zendesk for your sort of CRM for a small company, us for your contact center, Five9, and then as you start to perform and do customer success at scale, Gainsight. So there's a handful of companies out there that can sort of like really get you best in class capabilities. Gainsight public already? No, not yet.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're growing.
Speaking of M&A, that's interesting. Buy or build. All right. Well, listen, Rowan, it's great to have you on the pod again.
The pod, is that the new?
Yeah, we just call it the pod. The show.
The cast? It's not the cast.
Yeah, it's cast pod. Sounds weird. The pod. I like to say the pod.
The pod. I like it.
It's a podcast.
The twist pod.
And if you want to use...
It's a pod with a twist.
It's a pod with a twist. If you want to use Five9, Rowan will give you a free seat on me. He doesn't know that, but that's it. Do you do like a startup program for people? You got like or you haven't done that yet?
We can. Any startups that want to sign up on our platform, please call us and tell us that you heard about us on Twist, and we will make you a deal you can't refuse.
I always think the first seat free for the first year for startups, or 2 seats free for the first year is the best way to go.
We can sort something out.
That's what when people sponsor the show, they're always like, "What should you do?" I'm just like, whatever it costs for the first year, figure out what that dollar amount is. Because what is it, like $50 a seat or something? What do you guys rack rate for?
For a small company, yeah, $100, but that includes your 150 includes telephony. We often bundle the telephony in.
So you got the phones all.
Yeah, you pick a phone number on our service. You don't have to have a separate.
So under $2,000 a year to get going.
Cheap.
Yeah. So what I always suggest is just tell them $1,000 towards your first year.
There you go.
And then they're like, okay, I get $1,000. That's the best way to do an offer. People always say 2 months free, 1 month free, whatever. You're just like, then they're going to slam me with something. When you give them a dollar amount, the actual value of it, it actually works so much better, I think. Just advice for people who are doing advertising. Hey, everybody, I'll see you on the tour. Angel.University is coming up. I'll be in DC. I'll be in Boston. I'll be in New York City, Columbus, and Miami. And of course, it wouldn't be a JCal road tour if we weren't going to dinner and having awesome food. So we'll be going to amazing restaurants after the Angel.University in DC, Boston, New York, Columbus, and Miami. I'm looking for recommendations of either like the best Michelin star places or the converse of that, like the best down home, awesome, ethnic, Peking duck, pizza, chicken parm. The good stuff. Yeah. But I'll go high end too.
Yeah,
that's me, high and low.
Mix it up.
High and low. I was eating in Hong Kong. I was eating
The French Laundry of cheesesteaks, wherever that is.
Yeah, no, I was eating like these street dumplings. We went to a
Oh, wow.
street dumpling place and
In Hong Kong?
In
That
Hong
sounds
Kong, it's
amazing.
kind of like soup dumplings, but then they burn the bottom of them in this big cast iron tray.
That's awesome.
And one of them had truffle in it,
Oh,
and
man.
it was like truffle, pork, and just wildly good. I'm sitting there, we're like pounding these things on the side of the street, and then we went to like a 2 Michelin star Italian place in Hong Kong.
Which did you like better?
That's a good question.
Where would you, if you had to pick one you could go back to, but only one?
Well, if I went to all three, I would go back to the Peking duck place.
Okay.
We went to a Peking duck place, and man, I am having a love affair with Peking duck right now. Like,
You cooking it at home?
no, Peking duck is like a 2 or 3 day
It's hard to do.
process,
Oh.
and I just want to show up and eat 12 slices.
Mission Chinese probably would have that. You been there?
I haven't been to Mission Chinese,
That's
but I
very
hear
good.
it's amazing.
It's super good. It's like the mix of what you just said. It's the low end kind of feel, but it's really amazing food.
Yeah, I'm into the high low.
It's high low.
High low is my kind of
AC/DC.
situation. I want to have like the high.
Go to Mission Chinese.
I mean,
I don't know if they have Peking duck, but good
what's
stuff.
amazing in Hong Kong is you have to call 2 or 3 days before.
For a street vendor?
No,
Oh.
for a Peking duck. So any of the places that are good that have like an amazing Peking duck, you got to order it 2 days in advance. And then I take my whole team to Sydney. They all know I love Peking duck, but they set up all these dinners with sponsors and whatnot. And my team starts taking pictures from Mr. Wong and having the Peking duck, and they're basically trolling me that they're having the Peking duck, and I've got to go to this other. And I'm like,
That's good culture. They
good-
control the
that's good
CEO.
culture.
They
I think
control
you know
the
what my
CEO.
culture is.
If you control the CEO, that's probably a good
Is
culture.
good. My culture is hard work done effortlessly with a sense of joy and humor.
Hey, nice.
I just realized it.
That's good.
Everybody just works
Should
hard,
write that down and put it on the wall.
effortlessly.
Hard work
effortlessly.
done effortlessly with a sense of joy and humor.
Yeah, joy and fun.
I love it.
It's just people
steal
take this
that.
stuff too seriously. If
Yeah.
you're all hardworking, like I've been on like some hardworking teams, and like the hardworking teams, like they're just like, yeah, well, of course we're working hard. Like that's what we do. The problem is when you get somebody on your team who doesn't have that hard work ethic, then all of a sudden the
Yeah.
joy and the fun of it becomes
Yeah.
complaining about how hard they have to work.
Yeah, that has to be the baseline.
If you're a hard worker, you don't complain about hard work. You're like, yeah, I love hard work. That's what I live for.
This is what, have you read AI Superpower?
No.
Kai-Fu Lee?
I just
Kai-Fu Lee's
played
book?
cards with Kai-Fu, actually.
Dude, that book
Why is Kai-Fu not on the podcast yet?
that
Emmy
book is
Award-winning Jackie, we've been
awesome.
talking about this.
But the beginning is all about Chinese entrepreneurial culture
Oh.
and about how brutally competitive they are. And when you read that and then think about your thoughts about your own
Yeah.
culture, it kind of actually reminds me of Facebook. There's like brutal copying of whatever it is that they have to copy, and it's like that's just par for the course in China. That's where you
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, you start with destroying your competitors any way possible.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why the people in the West like
And copying is like, of course you're going to copy it. It's like it's open source as far as they're concerned. Everything's open source.
They're like, wow, that's
But you got to read that book. It's really, the beginning is really fascinating.
yeah. I gotta. He gave me a signed copy of it.
It's worrying. I worry how can we compete? Can our Silicon Valley style of innovation compete with that if we go up against it head to head? I don't know. It's not clear in the book what he doesn't sort of say. He makes you worry.
It's interesting because when you think about it, one system has as an example, imminent domain ability.
Mm-hmm.
They can say, this is super important. Alibaba has to win.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to Elizabeth Warren, who's like, we have to ankle Amazon. This is what I think about a lot with the New Socialist Party.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a Republican alt-right conservative, as everybody who knows me. But
Mm-hmm.
that also means I am not an Elizabeth Warren. Let's take the greatest success stories in the history of our country that are competing on a global stage and ankle them without deep consideration. It's very easy to drive.
Without deep, that's the key. That's what Roger McNamee was saying about that, right? He was
Yeah.
like, she has some reasonable ideas in there, I think
Yeah.
is what he was saying. I don't
Sure.
really know. I haven't studied her platform. Like about the fact that we essentially have no regulation on tech.
Hmm.
And so there
True.
probably should be some regulation,
Yeah.
but it has to be thoughtful.
Well, think about this. Like, her key issue is you can't be the marketplace and be a participant in the marketplace. Okay, seems reasonable. I've talked about this, but then I was thinking on even a more abstract level, not just competition in the United States, but competition on a global basis. If you say to Amazon, you can't make an Amazon basic cable that drives the price down to 0
Mhm.
or whatever, 1% profitability. Well, then if Alibaba can do Alibaba basics, they'll destroy Amazon on a global basis.
Mm-hmm.
So do we want to make the United States more competitive in our little sandbox, or do we want to dominate on a global basis?
Mm-hmm.
That's the decision we have to make. And I feel like Elizabeth Warren's platform might have great intent, and there could be some good things in there. You have to parse each one. But you also have to think about, well, we have to win on a global stage. We can't afford to lose on a global stage because we're a 300 million
no doubt
population country that's fighting well above our weight. And does the free capitalism market and work against a rigged market with government support? And the government support would, in some ways, like the socialist European way of government support, I believe handicaps founders because they become dependent on getting their grant.
Right.
That's why you don't see huge companies coming out of Europe all that much anymore.
Yeah.
Because those founders are like, please, sir, may I have another grant?
Yeah, how do we get grants?
So they're all just, they train their entrepreneurs to be beggars from the government, as opposed to building a solution and putting it in market.
Yeah.
So that's an example of downside. But picking a winner, the analogy would be the government of France saying, this company will win.
Right.
This company is going to get money from us. This company is going to be deregulated. We're going to take out all the friction for this company to win it all.
Right. And that's what China's doing.
That's what China's doing.
Yeah,
They're picking the winners.
Let some get rich, right? And, well, I mean, if you're going to do what you were suggesting earlier, it would apply to Walmart too, wouldn't it? Like, they've been doing Amazon Basics, the Walmart
Target does
products. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Target has house labels. 365 at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's part of Amazon.
Oops.
Oops. But, it does equal fluidity, and removing friction equals customer delight.
The harder problem, the problem I have with the approaches that they're doing now is they're essentially locking in the gains of the large companies that are, because they implement the regs that are coming out for the Googles or the Facebooks or whatever forget this was a couple years ago.
GDPR, all this
It was
stuff.
like, okay, you will never be able to create a at-scale competitor to Facebook and Google because now we have regulations, but they're already there, so they're grandfathered in. It's like, great, do it all you want.
Yeah, they would like, Facebook, go ahead and take any oil field you can find west of the Mississippi. Now they're like, if you want to drill oil west of the Mississippi and you want a plot of land, file these papers with the government, and we might allow you, after we inspect your drill, to let you do a drill. And it's like, but didn't those guys just take half the oil? It's like, crazy. Yep, and they still have it. It is interesting. It's very weird for me to watch this anti-capitalism thing.
It's crazy. Well, that's the thing. Elizabeth Warren, like, it just when she's saying billionaire freeloaders, it's like, well, hold on a second. Like, I think the billionaires that I know in Silicon Valley have created lots of jobs, and that doesn't feel like a freeloader to me. So, not to say that her whole platform is whatever, but I don't know it. But that's something I think you'd sort of discredit. And it's frankly, it's just stoking up these class division sort of problems that we already have. I don't think we need that.
Yeah, it's like this whole AOC chasing Amazon out of Queens.
Oh, right, yeah.
And she doesn't understand the difference between a federal or a local grant of $3 billion and a tax cut of $3 billion. The tax cut is on...
Well, not understanding how the government works is a bipartisan problem of politicians.
No, and in fairness, she owns it. I thought it was pretty... charming. She was like, last year, I was a waitress serving tacos in Lower Manhattan. Now I'm here. And I was like, and it shows. And that is no surprise.
But they're trying to get Amazon to come back, right? You think that's going to work to Queens?
If you were Jeff Bezos, are you going back into that shit show?
I don't know.
Are you going to go back and put a target and have AOC and her loony anti-capitalist socialists start the hashtag boycott Amazon?
Yeah,
you want to risk that?
Yeah, maybe
or would you rather go to Detroit or Philly or Pittsburgh, where they're like, oh my God, Jeff Bezos will wear, everybody who works for the government will wear a Jeff Bezos t-shirt, an Amazon t-shirt for 1 year if you come here. Like, literally, that's what I would have done. I would have, if Mayor Jason was running for Amazon HQ2, MayorJason.com would literally, big announcement coming in October. October 1st, book it now.
Everyone wears Mayor Jason shirts for the first year?
No, I would literally say to Bezos, everybody in San Francisco who works for the government, bus drivers, everybody, if you bring Amazon, we don't want any more people in this city, but let's say I was the mayor of St. Louis Obispo or Pittsburgh, my other favorite city.
Beautiful.
If I was the mayor of Pittsburgh, Mayor Jason, and then it's not a threat to the people of Pittsburgh, by the way. I know, hashtag trigger warning.
It's not a promise.
It's not a promise or a threat. But if I did become the mayor of Pittsburgh,
then what would you do?
I would say every bus driver, every school teacher, everybody will wear an Amazon.com t-shirt or lapel pin or a logo for the next year. And we will buy everything for the government through the Amazon portal.
You get good prices.
Pittsburgh.amazon.com.
There you go.
We'll buy 100% of procurement will go through Amazon.
Okay.
For the year if you bring it here.
All right.
That's what I would do.
Really?
Get those 25,000 high-paying jobs to my favorite city, Pittsburgh? Yes.
Require, as part of getting your driver's license, have a check mark for Amazon Prime on the form.
I would have...
There you go.
Every time you got pulled over by a cop and you got a ticket, it would say...
Instant checkout.
No, you would have at the bottom, take a picture of this ticket with your Amazon app, and if you're a Prime member, half off. Half off your ticket. You're going 20 miles over the speed limit, just 10.
There you go.
$200 ticket,
there you
100. For Amazon Prime members can park on the street.
That and more amazing public policy advice at mayorjason.com.
No conflict, no interest. I am literally, I would put the Amazon logo on the foot of the Statue of Liberty.
There you go.
For the year, a banner. Bring us.
How about change her face to
us your
Bezos'
poor.
face?
No.
Oh, that's too much?
That's a little too much. But
okay, we're going too far now.
There is a little base there. I've been there.
Yeah.
On the base of the...
Bring us your tired, you're rich.
Bring us your tired, you're poor, you're hungry, long in masses, and get free shipping. That's what I would do.
There you go. Staten Island,
That's
here they come.
That's my position. Staten Island Ferry
here it is
Amazon. Now the Prime Ferry.
The Prime Ferry.
You can take it if you have Amazon Prime. If you don't, you got to bike to Manhattan. That's it. Amazon Prime, you get on the Staten Island Ferry for free.
I love it.
I think it's free already. All right, listen, Rowan. I could sit here for an hour.
Thanks, buddy.
And have you play the straight man too. Which is what we do when we play cards.
That's true.
Rowan just serves them up.
And me lose money.
Knock them out of park. Woo! Daddy didn't have a good night the other night.
Oh, boy.
3 wins in a row and then 1 win to wipe it all out.
I haven't played since that game at your house.
Oh, really?
Oh, no.
How's therapy going about that?
It stung, man. It stung for a few weeks.
For a few weeks.
Months.
It is one of the great things about...
Don't play those crazy twos or wild BS
I don't play
games.
that stuff.
No, you were there. That happened at your house.
I know, and I should not have allowed it.
You shouldn't have allowed it.
And I don't allow it anymore. Although I do have a new innovation.
It was a good lesson for me.
I have a new innovation I've been
Turns
playing.
out Pocket Kings, not that good.
Not that good. Listen, you're learning.
I'm learning how to play Deuces Wild.
No, you're learning
crazy
what 80%.
Variants.
You understand what 80% good means. Like when they said, anybody who's a poker player, when they said Trump had a 15-20% chance of winning, we're like, oh boy, can we run it twice?
Yeah.
You're literally like, I've seen 20% win so many times, and I've seen people storm away from the table when they were 80%. 80% is like death.
Yep.
You just know that it's coming.
Right.
We call it a bink. But here's my new innovation.
A bake?
Bink.
Oh, a bink.
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 But it's my new innovation. Whenever there's 2 cards left in the deck, if I want it to go the other way, I just go bink.
And it works.
And it works almost every time. It doesn't work when I'm in the hand, but I bink people all the time now. I'm like, oh, put a queen out there. Bink.
Nice.
And then aces get cracked. Set of queens. But I came up with a new innovation, which I'll have you play when we have our next game.
Okay.
3 blinds. 50, 100, 200.
So like a straddle.
Yes,
like
but
a
you can still
built-in straddle.
But because you have
so it's a 4 straddle.
It's a 4 straddle basically, but but it just 50, 100, 200. What happens is now you've got $350 in there. We usually play 7-handed, 6-handed. So now you've got 3 people who are kind of incented to see the flop.
Totally.
The action went at least up 20, 30%.
What you don't understand is I don't need more action at your table. That's
true.
Too much action for me already.
It is too much action. All right, listen. This week in poker is brought to you by Acme Vape Pens. If you want to ruin your lungs with vanilla blueberry, Papa Smurf fart flavored, that'd be pretty interesting if they did.
Fart flavored?
No, I was just thinking.
They make that stuff for cigarettes. You eat the gum and then it makes cigarettes taste bad.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like one of the...
No, I just had this really good dystopian Black Mirror episode. What if Disney Corporation was led by like a Trump-like person took over, and at Disneyland, they sold vape pens based on the IP. So you could have the Lion King vape pen. You could have like
a taste of Africa or something.
No, it'd be more like, have your Pixar character, get the Wall-E, get the...
Would it be a flavor, like the Wall-E flavor?
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
Oh, just
Light
like the
Buzz
character.
Year's blueberry.
Oh, like the characters.
But it's the character.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Like, can you imagine anything more
That's
evil?
very dystopian.
It's super dystopian.
Yeah.
What if the dystopian Disneyland, what else would be in dystopian Disneyland? Like, it would be like shots. Do shots and then go on the rides. Like tequila shots, 2-for-1 tequila shots on Space Mountain.
On Mr. Toad's Wild Ride?
Yeah, like on the teacups, you could do...
Like psychedelics?
Here, kids. All right,
Edibles?
this has been This Week in Dystopian Ideas. We'll see. It's Friday, people. I'm sorry I'm going off on tangents. Rowan's my friend. It just winds up being... People love the tangents on the show.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, I love the tangents. All right. Thank you, Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie. Thank you, Sir Charles, Master Nick. Great job. And to Grant and Matt for ringing the register. Thank you. We are, I think we're sold out through May or June for the pod. It's doing so good. We've been investing in the technology, investing in the marketing of the pod, doing extra episodes. Just got 6 people working full-time on the pod.
Wow.
And it's getting better and better. We'll see you all next time. And go try out Five9, okay? This is my boy's new company, Five9. Five9.com. Go ahead and try it out and let me know how he did. We'll see you next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.